And we are rolling. Today's topic, from high school to college. That's going to be something interesting right there, from high school to college. Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Wizzo, and welcome to Wizzo Talk. Why Wizzo Talk? Shit, because I want to know. Don't you? Here at Wizzo Talk, I play it like you said, uncut and unedited. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the hot topics yet to come. Like to be a guest on the show? Hit me up in the comments. Have a hot topic you like here discussed for us to discuss? I messed that up, but that's just a part of rolling with it. Hit me up in the comments. We're going to meet our guest, let her do our own intro, and then we're going to get right into the topic of from high school to college.
All right. So I am Sienna, and I go by Coach Womack. I'm a teacher and coach. This is my second year of teaching and coaching that I'm going into at Temple High School. I am a volleyball coach and a track coach. And then I formerly played basketball and ran track at Temple High all 4 years. And then I went on to college for 4 years and ran track all 4 years while I was there. And I got a bachelor's degree in strength and conditioning. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Pretty good background. And then high school, what was your field events in track? And
so in high school, I did long jump, triple jump, 100 hurdles, 300 hurdles, and then 4x1 or 4x4, whichever one they needed me for. And then I went on to college and I was introduced to the heptathlon, which is a series of 7 events. And the pentathlon is indoor track, which is a series of 5 events. And then you do all of these events and you try to get a point total. It's not about if you get first, second, or third in each event. It's about how fast you run or how far you jump or how high you jump or how far you throw. Wow. And then you get a point total at the end, and that's how they rank you from first, second, and third.
Okay.
So.
Well, it sounds like you had a busy high school. I mean, it sounds like you almost did every event. Did you ever take a break in between?
It was rough. I know a lot of events or a lot of meets like area and regionals. In district, we were going back to back. So I would go from like long jump to triple jump to the 4x1, then straight to the 100 hurdles. And then I'll get like a little bit of a break and I'll do the 300 hurdles. And then if I don't do, the 4x1 at the beginning, I have to do the 4x4 at the end, which is after the 300 hurdles. Right. So that was a lot. And then in college, it just became even more doing 7 events.
Right. Okay. So we're talking about from high school to college. So making that transition. So when you first got ready to go and head off to college, did you already have an idea of what your goal was, what you wanted to be in college? Because I know so many students leave high school and get to college. They spend 20 years in college and still don't know what they want to do or whatever. So did you already know what you wanted to do in college?
Right. So I had an idea. I really wanted to be an orthodontist. That was my first mindset going into college. Okay. And then I started taking college level classes and I instantly changed my mind with that. So I had to major in biology and then biology pre-med and then go to med school and dental school and all that good stuff. That was a lot. So I changed paths and I came home in the summer and started coaching for the city of Waco. And I really fell in love with coaching the kids and helping them get better at running and stuff like that. So instantly when I went back my sophomore year, I changed my major to strength and conditioning. And then that's how I became a teacher and a coach.
Okay. Now I know I followed your track career for quite some time.
For sure.
And so so it just kind of, I would think that you already had in mind that you maybe wanted to be a coach, but that wasn't your first option to be a coach.
Not at all.
You're competitive as you are, outgoing you are in track and everything like that, a number of medals and all, but coaching wasn't your first idea until you came back.
Right.
And then you decided to do that.
Yeah, coaching was not in my plans. Nowhere. I never even thought twice. I didn't think I would be someone that could help other kids get better or anything like that. Right. But like I said, I just fell in love with it when I came home one summer.
Okay. Sounds good. So there it wasn't like you wasted a lot of money in college or a lot of time in college or stuff like that.
No, it was nothing like that. In your first years, you take a lot of prereqs. So you had to take like a science class, a math class, a history class, things like that. Those are all the things you need just for any major. Okay. So it just fell right into play.
So let me ask you this. So do you feel that you were ready to make that transition from high school to college? I mean, had your parents been to college?
Yes and no. My dad, didn't go to college. My mom did. But my mom went the nursing route. So that was completely different. Okay. I feel like than what I wanted to do. As far as being prepared, I think I was prepared a little bit on the athletic side of things. As far as the academic side, high school classes, they're pretty much, I'm not going to say they're easy, but I was raised correctly, I guess you could say. So I always went to class, like, without a doubt. I never skipped school. I never skipped class. Like, I was strictly, like, I knew if you didn't pass, you didn't play. Right. So I took that to college. So I was ready in that aspect of things, like getting up for class on my own without my parents being there, to go to class. But as far as, like, the content of the class is totally different than high school.
Totally different. So you got to get in college. You kind of got to get up and do it yourself. No one waking you up to do whatever.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, the professors already got paid, so they could care less if you're there or not.
Right. Okay. So what was like some of your big concerns about going to college? Going off, and you went like some states away.
I did. Right. Yes. Yeah. So probably I wasn't so much concerned about being far away from home at first. And then, so I've been to a few different colleges, and I wasn't really like concerned about being away. I was like, I want to go as far as possible. And then that first year hit me, and I was kind of like, whoa, I kind of need to come back a little bit. Right. And so I came back for a year, but then I was like, no, I'm going back. So I went back to school, and I graduated actually from Midland University, which is in Nebraska. So that's 12 hours away from home, half a day to get there. Yeah. So I couldn't just come home on the weekends like, most kids would if, they went closer to home. But I didn't really have too many concerns. It was more like, I wouldn't say trying to fit in, but trying to like impress my coaches, impress my teachers, things like that. So that way they can help me in the long run. Right.
Okay. So you drove to Nebraska, correct?
Yes.
So here you are in a young female, 18 years old?
Yes.
And another 4 states away or whatever.
Right.
So no fear of the highway. Now I know you hit that road driving in a minute. Yeah. So no fear. Now usually when you ask someone, were you scared? They're gonna be like, no, I wasn't scared. I wasn't this, I wasn't that, or whatever. So we're not. I don't want to use the word were you scared or whatever like that. Right. But I mean, I know you're female. You in another whole place, whatever. Yeah. So was there a little bit of fear? And if so, was there someone you can talk to there, or did you happen to maybe call your mom, call your dad, or something to kind of help you guys through? So was there any fear of being off that far?
Right. Well, I was scared. Like the first time I went to college in Kansas, my parents dropped me off at college actually, and I didn't have my car. So it wasn't like I drove, by myself or anything like that. But after a while, it's kind of hard like to make friends sometimes. Right. So I knew like I needed a car so that way I can like transport myself to the grocery store or to wherever I needed to go in case of emergency or anything like that. So when I came home, I think it was around Thanksgiving, Christmas, or after that or something in January maybe. Right. I finally convinced my mom to let me take my car. And so she let me, and I was like on the phone with her. It was an 8-hour trip at the time. So I was on the phone with her whenever I could, call her. I didn't want to like blow her up and like worry her, but I would call my parents, let them know like every time I stop for gas, things like that. Cause it is scary out here at gas stations for young females. And, so then, my mom also let my coach know that I was driving for the first time. So I let him know, when I made it to Kansas and things like that. So after a few times of making the trip to Kansas, it wasn't too bad. And then when I got, the courage to go further to Nebraska, which was 4 hours from the school I was at in Kansas. So, but 12 hours from Waco, Texas. So That drive was a little bit different. I wasn't scared at all for that drive, mainly because I already drove 8 hours before by myself. So I thought, like, even though it was longer, I felt like it was easier.
Okay. For everyone just tuning in, I'm Paul Wizzo, and welcome to Wizzo Talk. We're talking about today's topic is from high school to college, making that transition from high school to college. And so what I also like to kind of just ask you, so what excited you about going off to college? You know, you leaving high school, you know, now me, before you answer that, now I'm the type that, you know, I'm thinking, you know, everyone is not college material.
Right.
You know, everyone don't have to go to college. College is not made for everyone. I mean, sometimes college just take a whole lot of damn money from you, leave you in debt. You can go get a $30,000 college loan, but you can't get credit to buy a $5,000 car.
Right.
So, but just ask you, what excited you most about going off to college?
I think what excited me most, I was real big into sports, always have been. So I think sports was the main thing that made me want to go to college. I think that if I didn't play sports growing up, so I did gymnastics very, very young.
Right.
And then I turned to track around 11 years old, and I fell in love with track after that. So automatically off rip, I knew I wanted to go to college for sports.
Okay.
I think that if I didn't play sports, I don't think I would have went to college, honestly, because I'm not the classroom material type of kid.
Right.
So I did like, you know, C's get degrees. Like as long as I got a C, I can play. And so as time went on, I realized that grades were important, especially in high school, to get to college.
Right.
So after freshman year of high school, I started taking that way more serious to get my GPA and things like that, my class rank up. And then when I got to college, my first year was so hard because, like I said, I was a biology major. So that was a lot of studying and then trying to like have fun with my friends in college.
Right.
Those two things don't really work out being a bio major. So those of you that want to be that, rethink that a little bit. But I was just excited about sports, honestly.
Okay. So we're gonna talk just a minute or two about roommates in college. So do you feel that? Now I know you love to clean. You hate stuff to be dirty. You cook. You do all these things on your own. You've been raised that way and brought up that way. You know. So tell me about, you know, some of the roommates you have, where the good and the bad, that you have some good ones. They can clean, they didn't do whatever, the restrooms, so whatever. You don't have to call their name, but just so, you know, tell me something about the room. How is it with roommates?
So I think your first year of college, you should definitely have roommates. That helps you like build bonds and relationships with people. So, and don't room with someone on your sports team. I think because y'all are eventually going to have the same friends. So I think it's better if you get roommates, you know, from other sports teams or other organizations on campus. So that way you can have your friends over and then now your roommates, you know, meet your friends and then you meet their friends. So I think roommates are very important the first year of college. And then after that, make your decision to be by yourself or to have more roommates or the same roommates or whatever. All my roommates, they were pretty cool for the most part. You know, being clean, like you said, I'm, you know, big on making sure nothing's really on the ground. Trash gets picked up. I don't like, you know, bugs, period. Even though I run track outside, I don't like bugs and I don't like, you know, dirty things. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. But my roommates, some of them could cook though. Right. So I mean, I showed them how to cook certain things. They showed me how to cook certain things. So I think roommates are good.
Roommates can be good though. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is Paul Wizzo. We out on location from high school to college is our topic.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just asking Coach C some different questions. Did I say Coach C or was it? That's how you go by that also.
I go by Coach C. I go by Coach Womack. So.
Okay. So. For us getting involved in any of the activities on school outside of track, or is that or anything like that? Is that an option? Is that something that you take part in, getting involved in any activities, anything?
I think taking part in other activities, organizations are really, really good. I think that you should make more friends outside of your sport. So that way, and you never know, like you and your teammates could be into it one day and you're like, I need some other friends. Right. So I think it's good. Like they have things like FCA or sororities, fraternities, things like that. So I think those are like really, really good. I think the best organization, honestly, to me to join is FCA, which is Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So I was a part of that in high school, and I think that's a really good thing to do in college as well.
Right. Okay. Outstanding. Okay. So, as you can probably see, like behind you, I'm a low budget podcaster, so I don't have anyone holding up cue cards back there, and I don't have my teleprompter, so I had to make my own notes right here, so I don't have all that. So, so I'll graduate to that level later on, but for right now, and I don't have all these dang on questions memorized for so I got to write down some notes.
No, you're good.
Okay. So then just tell me what is some dislikes and some things that you did like about college,
Some dislikes that I thought in college, it's the my way or no way from professors. So either you're going to do it how they tell you to do it, or you're going to fail. And at the end of the day, they don't really care, You'll get a few professors or whatever that really try to help you out. They understand that you're an athlete. You're going to be gone for days at a time in college athletics versus high school athletics.
Right.
So you'll have some that really care, but then you'll have some that, instantly tries to make your life hell, essentially. I know I had an anatomy professor. Her main goal was to make you fail her class, and she told us that. So, that was different, and I went to a different college and took the class and got an A in it, and it was just this, I think her class prepared me for another class, but I think she went about things the wrong way.
Right. Okay. Well, then I'll ask you this here, because we halfway through only have about 80 questions to ask you or something like that, but that's for a minute. Okay, so now that you graduate college and you look back, is there anything that you would do differently? So now that you experienced with going, you done been through college, you done graduated through the COVID and all that. I think you probably went an extra year in there or something like that.
Right.
So looking back, what would you do probably different about going to college? And then I'm going to mix in there too that I know that you had some scouts and come and they recruited you, and you selected this school. You wasn't too pleased with it maybe, and you wanted to go into there. So just to touch, what would you do differently? And then are you able to help by you being a coach now? I'm sure you'll be able to help the next hurdler or the next track person.
Right.
So what would you do differently looking back now that you've graduated?
I think I would have definitely explored more colleges and not just the ones that reached out to me. I transferred a couple of times in college, and it was more just me reaching out to those colleges, seeing what I actually wanted to major in and things like that. That's what made it easier for me to transfer colleges.
Right.
I think that I probably wouldn't have went so far. I didn't realize that there were so many colleges in Texas at the same time. So, and far colleges that are far enough away. So, I went to a visit at West Texas A&M, and that's 8-9 hours from where I live, and that's still in Texas. So I think that I would have done more things like that, because my first mindset out of high school was to go D1. And I think that's what all kids want to do, but honestly, that's not realistic for a lot of kids. Not because they're not athletic enough or smart enough. It's just D1 coaches, they know what they want, and it's kind of like, for the track side of things, some of them you have to make a travel roster, but they don't tell you that till they get you in there. So, and then you're transferring. So I think I would have looked up more colleges. My brother went to college, but he went for football and I went for track. So that was two complete different routes.
Right.
And it was hard because our parents didn't go for sports to college. So it was me trying to learn from my brother who's in a different route than me.
Right.
So I think it was just a whole learning process, but I think that now I can help kids that want to go for track, what to look for, things to ask the coaches, things to look for in the team, make sure to look up times and what can the coach help you produce and help you progress after high school. You don't want to go to college and still run the same times that you ran in high school or run slower than what you ran in high school.
Right.
So I think it's just a lot of things that I would be able to help, high school athletes nowadays.
Okay. That's good. After being to college like that, and you say you've been to 12 different colleges or something.
Three. But okay. Anyways.
But so that'd be good now that you've experienced that, and you can come back and you can share that with some of the other girls, and maybe not even the girls, just some of the guys or anyone that want to open up to learning a little bit more about college, not taking that first deal and look to see what that college has to offer. Because I know you went to a college and it was like nothing out there, just nothing.
Yep.
And
boring.
Yeah. So so at least you'll be able to help your students and to find a better way and other options, and especially even to know to check into the finances, because that's a big deal.
That's definitely, I think financial aid, it's more than just about how much scholarship money you got, because colleges are only allowed to give you so much, especially like based off your talents and your academic skills. I mean, I went to a college that couldn't even give athletic scholarships, and I ended up spending way more money in loans and everything like that versus going out of state and getting a scholarship. So I mean, I think everybody should be open to all types of colleges. You got NCAA Division 1, 2, 3, and then you got NAIA, which is where I graduated from, an NAIA school, and then you got JUCO. JUCO is not a terrible decision. It saves you a lot of money, and then for 2 years, and then you can go to another school for 2 more years after that. But I mean, I really think some people should look into the JUCO route as well.
And it's a good idea. Good advice. So since I just mentioned advice, so what advice would you give to a parent whose child is about to go off to college, and they hadn't been to college themselves and don't really know anything about it, and here their daughter is, and she's thinking about going off to California somewhere in college or something. So what advice would you give a parent this kid is about to go off to college?
Honestly, I feel like you should just trust how you raise them. And Google questions. Honestly, like Google will tell you a lot of things. So if you have any types of questions that you want to, ask the coach or ask the financial aid or admission counselors, that's why they're there, to answer your questions. Now, some coaches may not be honest with their answers. They're just trying to get you there for the money or whatever. But you can genuinely tell those coaches that really will care about your kid and those coaches that are just trying to get your kid there for the money. So, I mean, I think you should just trust, the process. If you have a weird feeling, I feel like you should talk to your kids about that. Don't just try to make them not go there, because that's just going to make them want to go more.
Right. Okay. Well, from high school to college, the good and the bad.
Yes.
Traveling that far and find out that, I mean, Texas is a big state, like you just said, to drive for 8 hours to go. I'm sure everyone out there that live here know that, and if they just moved here, they definitely know that now.
Yes.
So, but it's good that you know and you've picked up some things, so you'll be able to help the next group of young ladies. I say young ladies because that's mostly what you wind up working with, the young ladies, and being able to help them to decide on the college that they're trying to go to and not waste so much money. Because, like I said, I think college is just... Anyway, but it's
a lot of money.
So we out on location here talking with Coach C. Topic is about from high school to college.
Yes.
And just seeing what you think. Is there anything that you have on your mind that you'd like to share with them outside of what I may have not have asked? Because I just been asking some questions, but is there anything that you'd like to share with our audience and people that's out there?
I mean, I would just say do your research. Research deep. Whatever college that you want to go to, you need to dig deeper. As deep as you can go, even far back. Honestly, you need to do your research, especially like meal plans. Like we talked about financial aid. You need to research housing arrangements. You need to go and take a tour of the campus. Do not sign a letter of intent without touring the campus, because if you do that, that is a setup itself, and you set yourself up for that. So I think it's very important. Like, I went and visited every single campus before I signed to go there. So I think, if you're too lazy to go visit the campus, don't go there. So
when you say sign a letter of intent, does that mean that since I signed this letter, I have to go here now?
Yes and no. If you sign it and then later figure out that's not where I want to go, you need to talk to the coach and figure out how you can decommit. But essentially, if you signed it, that's where you're going.
That's where you're going. So do your research before you sign
you sign that letter of intent, because you have to contact the coach and be like, hey, I want to commit. And that's when they print the paper off for you to sign the paper, and you have your signing day and things like that. You don't just sign a letter of intent without even telling the coach you want to go there. Right. That's kind of weird.
Right. And I'm sure, I'm guessing, because I've never been to college, that you can't just go along, keep telling you, I want to go here, and you get the letter, print the letter. So you have to go on and make that decision at some point.
Yes. Once you sign it, you're done when it comes to talking to other coaches. Like you cannot do that until you decommit. And then sometimes it's like entering a transfer portal and all those types of things. I never had that problem because the one that I signed to, I went to. Mm-hmm. And when I decided to leave, I told the coach, hey, like, this isn't the fit for me. I would like to pursue my track career elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And then he released me. And that's when I decided to talk to another coach.
Right. So the coaches that you talked with, they was pretty much understanding. Some pretty good coaches. 2 of the 3 of them were, yes. The 2 guy coaches, they say guys are a lot easier than females to talk to. Okay. So, yeah, the 2 guy coaches, the Kansas coach and Nebraska coach, they were very understanding when I left and came to those schools. One of the schools in Texas, she wasn't so understanding. It was kind of a my way or no way type of thing. Right. So, I think that was a lot harder to deal with. But as far as the other coaches, like they understood I was from Texas, being in Kansas, that's a big change. Culture shock, weather shock, like all of that. So he understood that it just wasn't the fit for me. But then I went like a lot of degrees colder to Nebraska. So, but they had like indoor facilities, and that was the difference between Kansas and Nebraska. Like they were a little bit more prepared for the weather versus being in Kansas. Okay. So, yeah. So do you think that, when you went to Kansas and Nebraska, do you feel that those coaches help you get a little bit faster, help you get a little bit more better in your track? I had another word for that, but I just forgot what I was trying to say. But I think you know what I'm trying to say. I had something else I was going to say with that. But go ahead. I think they did help me in a sense. I think I kind of hurt myself a little bit by getting injured so much. So I've had tons of ankle surgeries, which always ended up setting me back. Like, when you have a surgery and you let a doctor cut on you, like that's going to set you back at least a year or 2. Right. So I always had to go back through that rebuilding phase. But I think in the end, they gave me a lot of good, tips and things like that I can take into my coaching career. Right. Okay. Outstanding. So, I've followed your track career a long time. For sure. A long time. For sure. So, now you didn't graduate, you didn't ran track. I know you made it to district and regionals and so forth and so on in track, the college experience that you have. Now you're bringing it to the high school. Do you feel that you'll be able to help those girls get faster and better in the hurdles? Because I know that's one of your strong points. Right. And you've been coming out of the starting blocks for long as I can remember. Right. So, you feel that you'll be able to help those young ladies? I think so. And I think like high school athletes in this generation in particular, they listen more to younger coaches most of the time, because we literally just went through what it takes to get to college in this generation versus a lot of older coaches who knew what it took, 30, 40 years ago. Like, I don't think, I'm not going to say coaching high school should have an age limit on it, but I think, the younger, if you're young, I think you should coach and share your knowledge, especially if you just came from college, because we know what those college coaches want right now, not what they wanted years ago. Back then, because things changed. So, So now I already know that you're a workhorse. Yes. I know when you're in track season, and when you're in training, you don't drink any soda or anything like that, and when you're out for the summer, I know that you've always worked out, you steady work. Yes. So what do you say to that young lady that's out there that's watching right now, and now that summer's here, she's looking to run track. Let's say she's a senior, and she's a good hurdler, for example. Right. So do we tell her, stay at home, don't worry about it, eat all the potato chips and ice cream you want? Or do we tell her, get out there and keep working? What is your advice to that young lady that's out there watching now, or even some of the guys? Right. First off, the soda and the sitting at home on the couch is a no. I think you should be doing something all summer.
period. From the time that school gets out to the time that you go back to school, like I understand you want to break a week off right after school ends, maybe okay. But as far as being inconsistent with training, that just makes inconsistent results when the time comes in your season. Like, yeah, track starts January, February, but you can't sit from May all the way until January and expect the same results that, you know, the kids at the state level get, because they worked all summer and you didn't. So you're missing out. Really, that's putting you almost a year behind. So I think that water, hydration, Gatorade, electrolytes, all that stuff is good. I think you should watch what you eat, but when I went to college, my coach told us, he didn't have us on meal diets or nothing. Like, he said, go eat whatever you want to eat and we'll figure it out in track. So I'm not going to say you should watch what you eat. Now, as far as I know, some of you high schoolers like to drink alcohol and all that other stuff at a young age. I never did that in high school. So I think that I don't think you should do that. Alcohol sets you back a lot. And then drugs and all that good stuff. So I think you should just keep working out. I don't think you should take any breaks, especially if you want it. You got to go get it. Like, nobody's going to nobody's going to force you to do something, because at the end of the day, what I tell my kids is, I already went to college and I already been where you want to go. So it's really up to you. I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but if you choose not to do it, then that's on you.
That's on you. Okay. Now, I know we have to talk about also, and we got just a few more minutes. I have to talk about this little powerhouse team that you had in Waco, Team Waco, the little ladies that you had. You went and brought matching uniforms for and all that. So tell everybody a little bit about that. What was it? Was there a relay or something? Or what were their ages?
So the picture's right behind us, actually. But so I had a group of 8 and under girls, and I had a group of 14 and under girls. So that middle school age, and then that elementary age. They first gave me these girls, the elementary girls, and I was like, whoa, like, I don't have kids. I don't know what to do. Like, they cry. I don't get it. Like, I don't know what to do with them or whatever. Like, just tell them to go run. That's what they told me. And then I started realizing, like, looking, like, on a relay, you need 4 girls. That's it. So I found the 4 most consistent girls that came to practice. I made sure that they could go to the state meet, because that was my goal at the end of the day. Like, we're not going to sit here and waste time and not make it to state and summer track. Like, no. So when I realized I had 4 girls that consistently show up to practice, they consistently worked hard, they did not cry, which surprised me. My workouts are hard. My 14 under girls can tell you, but my 8 and under girls did not cry. So I was like, okay, these girls are tough. So we ended up, they ended up going to state, made it to finals. Unfortunately, we had another team run into our lane, and that threw us back. So we ended up getting 7th place when we should have got like 2nd. But anyway, so my 8 and under girls, they were really, really good. It was just a sprint relay. So everybody runs 100 meters, and that was what it was. Now, my 14 under girls, we had a 4x1 and a 4x4. So 4 girls each run 100, and then 4 girls each run a 4x4 or a 400. And I had 2 4x4s and 1 4x1. And those girls were workhorses, and that's for sure. Like, I coached them for 2-3 years in the summertime, and then I gave up coaching this past summer last year, and I had girls still hitting me up like, Coach C, like, we need help. We're not getting the training that we used to get, or whatever. So like, it was hard, but I think kids appreciate things like that. Like, they understand when you show them that you actually care about them and you want what's best for them, then they're willing to like endure whatever it is to be great. And I mean, I think it's great. I had a girl, I helped train her this past year. During school track, she would go to her school workouts, and then she would come work out with me, and she ended up going to state in the 400. So
I think that's the one that I was just going to ask you about, that I saw her, or was it long jump or triple jump? Did you have one to go in that too? No, she did the 400, and she went to China Spring, and it was 4A, so she went to UIL state track meet. Okay, that's outstanding then. Yep. So you got a good little workout plan. You and them little 8-year-olds, they hung up in there with you. Yeah, they did. And actually, the China Spring girl, she made it to regionals in triple jump. Right. It was her first year ever doing triple jump, and her coach just threw her in it 2 days before the meet, and she's like, Coach C, like, I don't know what to do. So we went out there. It was like 7:30 at night.
and we practiced it, and she got it down, and she made it to district, and then she made it to area, and then she made it to regionals. And unfortunately, she got out at regionals. But I mean, she PR'd by 5 or 6 feet. So
right. From you working with her, adjusted, whatever may need to be adjusted.
Yes, changing her boards, changing her phases, working on her run, being consistent, things like that. It's like they understood, and they can get things the first try when they're working with me. But sometimes other coaches, they just can't get it out of them.
All right. From high school to college, making that transition.
Yes.
And it can be tough.
Yeah, it can.
So, but, that's about kind of all I have, for you right now. Is there anything final that you'd like to say to anyone or anyone out there, before we close out this session?
I would just say, if it's something that you really want in life, I would just say go do it. Don't worry about other people saying oh, that's going to be hard. That's going to be tough. Even if it's your parents saying that's going to be too tough for you. Nothing's too tough for somebody that really wants it. So if you want it, you got to work for it.
Right. You want to go get it. Don't be the couch potato.
Right.
Get out there and go.
You got to actually get up and go do it when nobody's looking.
Right. And when you're off to college and mom and dad is at home,
don't ignore your parents. I didn't do that. I always call my parents, but don't ignore your parents. Don't forget where you came from, especially when you make it big. If you make it big, NFL, professional athlete, track, tennis, basketball, anything like that. Right. Don't ever forget where you came from. Don't ever act like, you're too good for the people that you grew up with. Because right when you start acting like you're too good, that's when you come all the way back down.
Right. So. All right. Outstanding. It's good. Well, I want to thank you for coming on Wizzo Talk. I really appreciate you. No problem. Seem like you kind of remind me of someone, but I just can't place who it is. But
that's my dad.
They weren't supposed to know that.
That's my dad.
Oh my goodness.
We look alike. Don't know. We look alike.
Yeah, they probably know it now. So. Anyway, I am Paul Wizzo, and thank you all for watching and tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. It's free to share. It's free to hit the like button. I'm Paul Wizzo, and we up out of here. Holla at your boy.